All right, I'd like to welcome everybody out to our SBDC webinar. Today is the 12th of May. We are excited for today's agenda. We've got a couple more weeks. We've got 2 more weeks that we'll be doing this on the 19th and 26th. We've got some good things coming up on those website, some more SEO stuff. And then top tips for protecting your dollars, data, more on cybersecurity. Excited for the next 2 weeks, and then we'll take the summer off and start again hopefully in the fall. So I'd like to welcome, we've got a good group of people here today. Today's topic is winning with social media. There's so many different avenues that we had the ideas of going with this. And we narrowed it down to the winning with social media. We've got our Region 5 Director with the SBDC, Ann Swanson, out of the Pocatello office, Region 5, that has prepared today's webinar. We're excited. She's got some great experience in this area. We've got some great attendees today, so we will turn this over to Miss Ann Swanson in Pocatello.
Wow, thank you. I feel like a celebrity.
You are.
Thanks for having me today, and welcome everybody to Winning with Social Media. Like most things, including marketing, setting expectations is a positive way to kick things off. So I wanted to, first of all, do some defining 30 minutes. Just a quick nod to the fact that 30 minutes isn't really enough time to talk in a detailed way about specific tactics in social media products. So we're not going to be able to cover today how to set up an ad in Facebook or how to create a frame for Snapchat, those kind of things. So what I wanted to do today, though, is to give you kind of a philosophical framework without getting too deep about approaching social media in your small business. Defining win, so what does it mean to win when you use social media? I think that means to use social media efficiently and strategically. So that can mean, of course, another bunch of definitions are in order, but we'll talk about what that means to use things efficiently and strategically as we go through. And then defining social media. I've seen some beautiful illustrations of the world of social media, and all of them are completely overwhelming. I didn't include one today, but I have seen them with up to 200 different kinds of social media products. And like any consumer product, social media products come and go. If anybody was on, I think it was Friendster back in the early aughts, that was a social tool that kind of came and went. MySpace sort of came and went out of fashion. So social media isn't a static term or even a bucket that holds still. So defining social media for today is any digital media tool that seeks interaction. So that covers a lot of different tools that are out there. So I just wanted to put that definition on the table as well as we move through today. And here are some of the choices. I like to present this list because it gives kind of a context for what small businesses are up against when they're planning their marketing campaigns. This is a list that I've been keeping probably for the last, 4 or 5 years, and I adjust it and add things and take things away. On the left, there is a list of not all, but a lot of the traditional media tactics that can be used. And I'm sure most of you have used at least one of those. And then on the right, the digital media or social media in larger categories. Obviously, I don't have every single social tool out there on that list. It would be we'd be here all day, but some of the big ones and those that I think businesses should be looking at when they're setting out their marketing plans and their marketing strategy. But But this is what I think hangs up a lot of businesses, is that people running their shops or providing their services or generally trying to get through a busy day helping customers, and out of the blue the phone rings and someone's trying to pitch you radio time, or someone's trying to build your website for you, or someone's trying to sell you a Yelp package. And it can come on the phone, but most likely it comes on email as well, of course, and on your own social sites. So what happens in some cases is that businesses are busy. They feel like they're under pressure to do more with their marketing, and in a hurry they say, yes, we'll take that Yelp package, or yes, we'll pay Yahoo $500 to get our business listing correct on their search engine. And the first point that I want to make today is that this is probably the wrong way to start marketing your business, because it's easy to be overwhelmed by so many choices. So I want to talk through how I think it's best to approach adding a social tool to your marketing mix. And a lot of people start here with this list and come in and say, oh, I think I should add a Facebook page because all my friends have Facebook pages, or I need to add some paid advertising on Twitter because I read an article that says I should do that. And I'd argue that we probably want to start at a little different spot. The other piece that I wanted to emphasize as we move forward today are the reputation side. And I see a lot of clients who haven't leveraged these. So I wanted to draw specific attention to these reputation builders and emphasize them in the presentation, and also to put them at the front of your minds as really important places to consider and to grow and take care of as a small business. So we'll get back around to those maybe a little bit later. So winning with social media, we talked about that being a tool that you could use efficiently and strategically. And instead of starting at the question, again, should I add Facebook to my marketing mix, or should I add Twitter to my marketing mix, or Snapchat, we really want to start back just a little bit. If you're an existing business, you already have some marketing tools in play, but I always think it's a good time to take a step back and ask yourself, who is my audience here? So if I'm thinking about adding a social tool to my marketing mix, what am I trying to accomplish with that? Who am I trying to reach? And there are different marketing tactics for perhaps slightly different audiences in your business. So if you have a big grand opening, certainly hiring a radio station to do a live remote at a retail location is probably a pretty good way to reach your audience, especially if you've got a good location that's easy to see driving by. You're selling a service that most people need, like opening a Meineke franchise, for example. That might be a great tactic to reach your particular audience. And you need to ask the same questions about adding a social tool. Who am I going to reach on Facebook? What kind of community do I want to get in touch with? And even on a tool like Facebook, there are a lot of different communities. So there's some more tactical work to be discussed with your SBDC consultant about exactly who you're trying to reach, even on Facebook itself. But taking some time to think through what kind of audience I want to reach and what kind of message I want to send them will help you make the right choices about adding a social media channel or expanding your current work in social media. So the first two I kind of covered there. What goals do you want to meet? I can talk a little bit more about that. I always advise people to have a very specific goal. So if you're a salon, and like all salons, you want to make more money, it's important to think about how you want to make more money. Do you want to make more money by selling more color and perm services? Do you want to make more money by selling more product? Do you want to make more money by selling gift cards or gift certificates? How is it that you best see increasing your profit and your income? And the more specific you can be about those goals, and the more you can tie that to your audience, the better off you'll be in terms of strategically using a social tool. And these discussions are perfect for an SBDC consulting session, because it's really helpful to have another head in the mix that isn't kind of stuck in the day-to-day movement and emergencies of running a small business. So I highly recommend having another party involved, and it's a little bit outside, to help you kind of talk through and think through that, whether it's the SBDC or another trusted advisor. If you decide that a social product is something that might help you because you've got, let's say, a teenage audience and you want to sell frozen yogurt to them, and you decide Snapchat is the way to go, and you want to specifically sell the 4-ounce version because that has your biggest margin, then the next question you have to ask is, do we have the resources to commit? And resources often thought of just in terms of money. And so it's easy to say, oh, well, social tools are free. Basically, they don't cost very much to implement. And that can be true. But it's Anne Swanson's golden rule of marketing, that if it doesn't cost money, it's going to cost you time. Now, if it doesn't cost you a lot of time, it's probably going to cost you money. So looking at the resources in terms of time and money are both really critical when it comes to adding a social tool, particularly because it is so tempting to frame a social tool in terms of its sort of low cost. And of course, if you decide that you want to do ads on social media or on Google or any of those other spots, that the cost in money does come up. So I always ask people to think about, how much time do you have to commit to a social tool? Can you really do that? And do you want to? Do you want to commit? And I'll tell a little bit of a story about wanting to commit here. Just a side note here, I am seeing some questions come in, and we'll get to those, I believe, at the end. Is that the plan, Brian?
Yes, it is.
Okay, thanks. So to the question about wanting to commit. Let's see. One of my favorite clients and most successful clients is a franchise owner named Teresa Nelson here in Pocatello. She runs Home Helpers, which provides home chore services and in-home health care for aging adults. And I met Teresa, gosh, probably 5 years ago, when she was working in basically a glorified closet in the basement of a building. Today she owns her own building and she employs over 200 people, but I think her story about marketing efficiency and strategy is really important to share in this context. So I went in to meet with her early on to talk about marketing, and she'd been building her business pretty well. She'd been doing a lot of chamber events. She'd been running a support group for caregivers. She'd basically been shaking as many hands as she could in Bannock County and starting to expand a little bit and wanting to build her business a little further afield. And so we sat down together one afternoon and she said, okay, so I need to get on Facebook. And I said, all right, why do you think you need to get on Facebook? Well, everybody says I should. And I said, well, that's pretty common to hear, that everybody thinks you should get on Facebook. And I started probing a little bit, asking some of those questions that I just presented to you. Questions such as, well, who are you trying to reach? And if you're selling services that take care of older adults, who's your audience? And the answer is, well, your audience is the children of older adults, because they're the folks that are trying to find help for their aging parent most often. Well, how old are those people? And we talked a little bit about that. They're, probably late 40s up to mid 60s themselves if their parents are much older. And I said, okay, well, they're definitely that age demographic on Facebook. It's not as large as a lot of the other demographics, and this is, 5 years ago, so things are probably a little different now. But I went on to ask some other questions. For example, what are your competitors doing on Facebook? And we spent some time looking at what the competitors were doing on Facebook, and the answer was not much and very poorly. And then I asked her as well, I said, how much time do you have to put towards this? And she said, oh, that's the problem, I don't know. I've got a lot of chamber, I'm in Rotary, I know I'm really trying to shake as many hands as I can, and that's really the way that this business has been growing. And I said, all right, how about this question? Do you like working on Facebook? And she said, no, I don't like it at all. I don't use it for myself. I feel like I'm pressured into it. I'm not excited about it. And I said, then how about not doing it? And she was sort of surprised. She's like, I could not do Facebook? And I said, yeah, you could not do Facebook. And you could focus your marketing strategy on what's already working and do more of that. And so she did. She joined the Idaho Falls Chamber and put more time into that and money into that as well. I think probably a year and a half ago she did get a Facebook page started with the staff that she has now to help her with that. But at the time it was really not the right choice for her. And so I like to tell that story because I think it's a good illustration of number one, not caving into the pressure that you feel from the internet and your buddies about what you should or shouldn't be doing in terms of marketing your business. And also just to make the point that bad is worse than none, especially with social tools, because you're out there to connect with people. And if what you're connecting is passionless and uninspired and something that you're not interested really in keeping up, then it hurts your brand far more than it helps it. So I pause there to just put that phrase in your head, bad is worse than none, pretty much in any kind of marketing that you do. But it goes double for social tools. So now that I've delivered my cautionary tale to you, I wanted to start to give you some context to starting. If you want to start or take on a new social tool or expand a social tool that you're already using, make sure that these 4 things have been accounted for. And the first one is budgeting time. It takes about 15 to 20 minutes to prepare a Facebook post for most people who don't naturally have a lot of sweet graphic design skills and video skills. It takes time to find a good visual or go out and take a picture or run a quick video or do those kinds of visual presentations that social media really demand. So having time is really key, first of all, if you're going to commit to a social tool. And then having a budget, and by budget I mean a people budget as well. A lot of people say, oh, well, I can just give that to the intern and let them run with it. Well, the problem is that an intern leaves after a while, and the person that's running your social tool really should be somebody who's got a lot of invested in your business, that can commit, that understands the brand, the message, and the audience who you're trying to reach. It's really important that there's a consistent person who can manage the tool on a pretty regular basis. I mean, managing a social tool takes multiple times per week, I think, to do it right and do it well. Budget cooperation. You're going to be looking for a lot of content if you're on a social tool, because that's the whole point, is to keep sending out messages about yourself and making sure that you're responding to the messages that are coming back. So creating good content requires cooperation from sometimes your customers, requires cooperation, of course, from your coworkers. It can either be a great opportunity to cooperate with partners. I've seen a lot of successful social media campaigns where 2 complementary businesses partner up frequently to deliver different packages and incentives for people to follow them and participate with them on social media. Also, I think that social is a two-way street. So a lot of people think of social media as a tool that's just there for the brand or the service to push content out. It's also a way for you to connect. And so reaching out through social media is also part of that cooperation budget. And then budgeting research. Social tools change all the time. The rules change. Facebook rolls out different incentive packages. Twitter changes their algorithm or their rules. They allow you to add clips, or they stop allowing you to add something. So keeping up with kind of the playbook of the tools that you choose is also part of that social media commitment that I recommend that people make. So I'll leave you with that. Social media is a campaign. It's not a campaign, excuse me. It's a commitment. And I'll go back to thoughts about your reputation sites. And if there's a commitment that you're going to make, I think, and you have a business that lends itself to these kinds of reputation builders, one of my recommendations is to focus your social media time and budget, time and money budget, on really working these. I see a lot of clients of mine that have even been in business for a while who, if I Google them or Yelp them, they have like 2 or 3 reviews, and wow, they're really powerful. So I wanted to come back to this to wind up with a recommendation that these are at the top of your consideration list for adding a social tool, or if you haven't already, or revisiting it, making sure that the pictures are current and that you've got reviews coming in. This is another time too to have a strategic conversation with your SBDC consultant. They can be a big help in terms of giving you some feedback for making your review site as welcoming and as information full as it can be. So I'll leave you with that, a few key takeaways. First of all, bad is worse than none, and that goes for pretty much everything marketing, and same for social media. Social media is not a campaign, it's a commitment. It's something that you want to make sure that you've budgeted time and money for. And it's also, as you're considering taking on that tool, a conversation you should have with somebody who has a little bit of headspace away from the business, so they can give you some feedback about adding that marketing tool and what it's going to take to do that appropriately. And then lastly, making sure and check in with your review sites, because those are some of the most important, but kind of they somehow fall into the second tier sometimes when people think of what social, excuse me, say that 10 times fast, social tools can be. So revisit those if you haven't for a while. And I think that you'll be on your way to making some progress on considering adding social media wisely to your business. So that is what I had to give you today. I'd be happy to answer the questions here.
So Robert asked, how would you recommend, I think it's SMBs, so small to medium businesses, I think is where he was going with that, to go about determining who their audience is using data. So where can you get the data to help you find out what your audience is?
Well, that's a good question. That your data, the best data is going to be in your own hands, unless you're a new business. If you're a business that's thinking about going into a business, then everybody starts with the best guess about who their audience is. And it's tempting to say, well, it's everybody. But I'll give you an example. One of my clients is a kind of a, alternative gift shop. So a lot of new age products, incense, tie-dye items, crystals, Buddha statues, those kind of things. And I asked, well, who's your audience? He said, everybody. I get everybody coming in here. But I said, but who walks through your door every day and what they look like? And he's like, yeah, I do. They're usually 20-something-year-old women in long skirts who really like to do things like gaming, who are into tarot reading, astrology, into alternative medicine, those kind of things. I said, well, there's your audience, right? The business itself has the most data about who their audiences are currently. Now, if there's a product that you have that you think would appeal to a different kind of audience, then that's something that you would go and test market. But the best data about who your audience is already in your own business. And it's in the minds and eyes of the people that work for you, and it's in your own mind and eyes. And again, if that's not clear to you, then having somebody else talk through or even visit your business and kind of see who comes in can be really helpful. But there's no, maybe I'm not understanding that question exactly right, so please type in again if I missed it.
Great, and Robert's very experienced in this area, so any input there, Robert, would be great. Next question was, what is the key or keys to getting people to consider writing a review?
The key is to ask them, I think. That can be a little bit dicey, but it first starts with just plain ordinary asking people. I think every business has, number one, every business owner, business manager has a few relatives who are supportive of the business. So you can always find I think you can always find 10 friends and just say, look, I'm trying to get my Yelp profile fleshed out or my Google reviews set up. Would you mind going in and writing a quick review for me? Everybody's got 10 people that can do that. I even write them for my clients. I write them sincerely. So you can ask me if you want me to write one for you.
Sure.
But if I had experience with your business. But just, I think you have to ask your good customers and say, you know, I'm working on marketing my business better. I was wondering if you could help me. And then I always like to couch those asks in terms of advice, because everybody likes to give advice. And, you know, by the way, what do you see as a customer that we do well, and what could we improve on? We'd really like to know. And what a great question to get from a business that you frequent, like, oh wow, they care about what I think. So it's kind of in the way you phrase it, but I like to use the kind of ask for advice tactic with that. If you're kind of broadening out of your 10 friends and family that can help you write a review. The other piece of advice I'd ask for that in general when you're collecting testimonials or reviews is to just write it for them if they want. Just say, here's some suggested text, you can write it yourself.
Great.
So some people prefer that, and I've had really good luck with businesses doing that to kind of get it going, because people feel like, I don't know what to say, really. So they want to help, they just don't quite know how to do it.
Yeah. So another thing that I learned, and I have a retail business, and I don't know if it was in the most recent or I think it was two times ago, we did Kim that's on the call from Boise, she did a webinar on Google, and I had a sign up in my store that said, give us a good positive Google review and we'll give you a discount on your next purchase. And she went into the fact that you cannot bribe your customers to do that. So immediately, I mean, within 5 minutes, I had that sign down knowing that. But but I know it's not good. I mean, you can't, be found bribing. So are you talking just like a sincere, ask of if you had good service today, please give us a positive review?
I think the sincere ask comes from, you have to choose carefully you have to choose who you ask. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't ask every customer that comes in, because especially if you've never seen them before, it's a little awkward.
Yeah.
But I think once you've been in business for a little while, I hope you have people that come in regularly, or who are happy with your service, and you know who those people are. And it's also, it's good to just start building that in to your other marketing materials. Sharing, like if you send out an e-newsletter, sharing your positive Yelp reviews or Google reviews and say, thank you for those, thank you for this review, Spudster28.
Yeah.
If you'd like to review, we'd be most grateful for it. But it's something that just kind of, those reputation sites that you can start, cross-pollinating. They, social sites don't live in a silo. They easily, march around between each other, right? You can put Yelp reviews on Facebook. You can reference Twitter. You can put, somebody says something nice about you on Facebook, call them and say, hey, thanks so much. Would you mind just copying that over to Yelp if you have an account?
Yeah.
So I think asking everybody who comes in the door, probably not the right strategy. It's a little too much pressure, but thinking about making it available to people on all your marketing channels, or as many as you can, and then asking specific good customers and trusted customers to help you.
Okay. Very good. Let's see if there's any other questions. What are your thoughts on site analytics? Are they worth keeping track of?
You mean website analytics and Facebook analytics, those kind of things? Are they worth keeping track of? Absolutely. But only if they're tied to a specific effort. So Facebook's got great analytics for folks that do the paid ads or the boosts and things like that. You can see, how many people you're reaching and what kind of impact you're having, and but the analytics are only as good as you can connect them to actual sales, right? So that is, if you're thinking about doing a paid campaign on a social site, it's really good to sit down with a consultant or somebody and spend some time doing some of that research about, okay, if we're going to invest this money in a social campaign and we're going to get analytics back, what analytics are they going to give me, and am I going to be able to see that I actually increase sales because of that, or at least have a pretty good idea. So there's a bridge that the business person has to make between the analytics and their responsibility for a sale. And that just takes some planning and thinking through.
Very good. Can you read that Robert Brady's question, the clarification on that first question we had? Can you see the chat box there, Ann?
Yeah, let me just go to clarification. How does a business owner from the qualitative understanding of their customers? Quantitative. Well, I would work backwards from that. So if you're wondering if you've got qualitative understanding of your customer, and I would argue, though, you have some quantitative clues there, too. So ladies in long skirts who like gaming, do you think they're probably liberal voters or conservative voters? Probably. You know how old they are. You know where they live, basically. And you can ask them if you don't. Basically how old they are, where they live. Depending on how much they spend, I think you're going to find that is not a particularly high income group. But you can make some guesses about what annual income is. As far as education backgrounds, you could ask. I'm going to assume that they would tend to be at least high school graduates, if not trending toward in college or some post-secondary education. But you could ask, take a quick survey. And other businesses they frequent, again, that's a question you could ask them. And then using those quantitative pieces of data that you get, you can take those and step out to census data, other kinds of available data about the community where you live, and see what you can find out. How many people of this type live in my community? And am I reaching as many as I can? Is there something here I'm missing?
And what
a lot of that
would be most relevant to that classification of people?
Sorry, again?
And I think it would be the best thing to do is to determine what is going to be the best form of social media to try to contact those people.
And I'd say ask them. Ask them.
I agree.
I mean, there's nobody knows your customer better than your customer.
Yeah.
I mean, better than themselves, right? So if you can, of course, if you have that handful of basic understanding about who your demographics are, Facebook can cookie cutter that out for you very easily. I mean, they have a lot of different buckets that they can offer you in terms of targeting your ads. Facebook is very good at that, very good. And so are all of them. I mean, that's what they're in the business to do. So once you know, as well as you can, who your customers are, then taking those ideas or those assumptions to Facebook and testing them is pretty easy. And most people are right when they give some thought to who comes in their doors most often.
Yeah.
About who their customers are.
Very good. All right. Looks like we've hit all the questions. Thanks for the amazing questions in the chat bar. That was awesome. So thank you. I can tell you that this is one of our top topics that's requested, and it's a hot topic out there, and great information today. Thank you, Ann. The social media is alive, and it's not going to go away. These millennials will not, the younger generation definitely will not go away with their social medias. So thank you for the input today. Thank you for the great questions. We've got 2 more of these webinars coming up on the 19th and 26th. Looking forward to them. Appreciate the content today. We will have this up posted on the website and YouTube. Probably either later today or Monday. So if you need any points of clarification, that we'll have it posted. And thank you very much for your preparation and for your content. It was great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for joining me.
Okay. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you next Friday. Have a great weekend, and take care of your mothers. Have a good day.